hungry caterpillar is actually a name that we all know because of the book, The Hungry Caterpillar, which is about children's book that Eric Kyle wrote about this caterpillar that feeds and feeds and feeds and keeps getting hungry. So when I visited the site, it was lush and green, and I just immediately visualized this cocoon, not necessarily a caterpillar, but from there just came this little parallel where it's children, they're feeding, the cocoon and all of that, and it just fell into place. And when I suggested it to Shomak, he loved it. So yeah, it's just a metaphor, but I think it's very apt. So I think the fact that you can continue to learn at any age is what was my takeaway. There were people from 40 different countries from the age groups of 17 to 77. 77 was the oldest person there. And they were not necessarily architects or designers. They were just people curious about bamboo, about sustainability, wanting to build small homes in their villages or furniture. You know, they were just literally there to explore. And I went there very hesitant that this was something that I might check out immediately. I thought it was my midlife crisis. But but from the minute that I stepped into that place, I took to it. I loved it. The first 5 days were just getting to know bamboo. They were teaching you how to harvest it, how to grow it, and how to protect it. And then the last 5 days, we actually got hands on ground and built something tangible. So it was a beautiful experience, and the fact that you can learn at any age is what I took away. So actually, bamboo is very easily moldable, and I think the toughest part about bamboo is that nobody knows too much about it. Everybody has worked with it, but there are no researched theories or books about facts about bamboo strength. So everything is an experiment. And we had a structural engineer who was in London, and he would keep making the people on ground experiment with weights, with glue. And that got incredibly frustrating because there was no surety. And everything was an experiment, and that is definitely the hardest part about bamboo, the lack of knowledge. So the structure that we have built is very different from the typical bamboo construction. It's a grid shell construction. Typically, concrete is used for grid shell construction. Bamboo has not been used like this, and hence it was very new, and hence it was a huge learning curve. So again, I think for there, I have to be thankful and grateful to Ashoka because they were open to experimentation. And where we started with bamboo, I mean, I didn't have a plan to do 3D printed kitchens nor use recycled furniture. But since it was a college campus, we had to be responsible with our choices. And since we had started with bamboo, I started researching more and more sustainable and eco-friendly ways of constructing. That's when I came across 3D printing as an option. I said, why not? Ashoka was open to it. Now that we had the bamboo and the 3D printed concrete, we were like, okay, we can't just put plastic furniture. We, of course, had to work with budgets because it's a college campus and it's a college university. So we again went down the route of, finding people who worked with recycling plastic, and it just all came together. So 100%, I went to an architecture college that had absolutely no character. It was a concrete building that was used for weddings and the weekends. So all we got to see was the shadi ke mandaps. Having said that, Ashoka has a beautiful campus, and kids would make memories here sitting under a tree as well. But it was my contribution to the college because I felt like architecturally this would definitely be something different. something respectful of nature. And if kids could sit under this and make memories and remember it as their spot on campus, then nothing like it. Satisfying. Bamboo for sure. I think it would have to be a museum because I think that's pretty experimental just by the nature of what the project would ask for. And yeah, so I said materials definitely can affect the way you feel. So if I'm wearing, for example, this linen, I want to feel special today, right? Because it's stiff and it's making me feel the emotions that I'm going through. Similarly with architecture, I think the materials that you use do the reverse. They make you feel what you're supposed to feel. So if I was walking through plain exposed concrete, I would feel very different than when I was walking under these bamboo canopies, right? So architecture has the responsibility of making you feel an emotion versus I think fabrics where you feel something and you pick a fabric to wear according to that. So we faced a lot of trouble as designers. I think the first rule of thumb is that you do not interrupt nature and you work around it. And while I was very excited to get that site because it had so many trees, those same trees caused me a lot of pain. And because the structure is not a rectangle, it would have been very easy to plan a rectangle missing the trees. But because of this organic form, every time I would set it on the ground, like we literally had the floor set, and then we'd elevate those points, and then we'd hit some tree, and then we had to shift it again. So that was not all. As we started digging the foundations, we realized that the floor beneath had a maze of services running through. So there were their electrical pipes, their plumbing pipes. And so we just got that right, and then that happened. So again, we had to shift it. So it really was a nightmare. But I'm grateful that we actually managed without harming any trees. It has to be the future. I don't think we have a choice. The good thing I would say about every person today is that we're all aware of it. And if we had to, our first preference would be to be sustainable. I think the challenges are that the sustainable choices are not necessarily the most aesthetic or the cheapest. So that's what makes choosing sustainability difficult. But at the root of everybody's heart, we would all want to be sustainable. That's actually a really lovely question. I think Goa has that vibe already. I think when I think of Bali, I think slow, right? You get into Goa, you just automatically slow down. So I definitely think that has it. Mangalore has it, so the beaches of Mangalore, the trees of Mangalore, I think the coconut trees just automatically, do it for you. So it's not possible to even think of that attitude in a metropolitan city. But we have enough of our rural cities that we could develop to be, these little hubs that you can go to as retreats. And I think a lot of people are doing that today. So I don't think we're that far away. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot from the team that built it. There are 4 layers to it. So it starts literally with the shell being these slender bamboos have been used at 45 degrees, and you have 4 layers. In between one is a bitumen layer that basically protects water from percolating all the way through. The shell is right at the end, which is flattened bamboo. They are like roof shingles. Okay, so that anyway puts the water away. But if anything does percolate, then the bitumen layer takes care of it. It's like a sheet. Like a sheet. It's like a waterproofing layer. And then under it are it's what gives the shape to the structure. But having said that, this particular team that we worked with is Jurium Bamboo as well as Jan's Bamboo. Julian Sustainability and Jan's Bamboo, they treat it beautifully, and their bamboo actually, they have used exposed. In Bali, they don't yet expose it. They always, when they teach you, they say you protect it from the elements. You can't have water directly hitting it. So when you design it, you have to make sure that you have large can overhangs. So the bamboo is always protected from direct water.
What are the overhangs?
Bamboo itself. Like for example, if this is the support, it goes like this, so the roof will protect it, right? So the water will not hit the bamboo directly. But Jan's bamboo somehow has figured out a method to be able to coat it with polyurethane layers, etc. So even if water directly hits it, it won't deflect. So I mean, since I'm new to this, it's my first bamboo structure. I was talking to them about it, and I said, listen, every 6 months we should come and inspect it to, check the sag, check, also the site is heavy on termites. So, so we need to just make sure that, because, once it's up, then you just forget it exists, right? Until it something goes wrong, nobody really pays attention to it. So I have that on my mind that every 6 months it needs to be inspected, and just to make sure that it weathers the way we intended to.